Descending can be one of the most potent venoms in all of professional road cycling. This skill is an acquired taste, or perhaps a pure talent, refined and perfected by repetition and confidence. With top speeds going downhill reaching well over 100 kilometers per hour, there is no way to not put respect to the riders who make it look easy. But where do you start when trying to showcase the best of the best? Well, we thought we'd pull out one of our favorites for the answer. Why is Julian Alaphilippe so good at descending? When we saw Alaphilippe take the bull by the horns last year wearing the yellow jersey at the Tour de France, he rode an incredible race, being dropped on the infamous Col du Galibier while wearing the maillot jaune. But he was able to regain all the time that he lost up to the leaders after several kilometers of impeccable, calculated risk-taking on the big descent. He caught the front group, took back the time that he lost on the climb. Simply put, Alaphilippe's descending skills allowed him to essentially neutralize the big uphill attacks that were being laid down and use his skills going downhill to stay in the yellow jersey. But it would be wrong to speak on this as if it's never happened before. It has, in fact, in a very similar race scenario during the 2005 Giro d'Italia. It was Paolo Savidelli, also known as Il Falco, the Falcon. He won the 2005 Giro off this very tactic during stage 19 from Sestriere to Col de Finestre, closing the gap to Gilberto Simoni. Many consider Il Falco to be one of the best descenders to ever race a bike. And don't get me wrong, he is a hell of a climber too, but similar to Alaphilippe, it was his combination of climbing strength and raw talent for descending that his career became known for. So how are some pros so good at going downhill? We know they do their intervals going uphill, but do they train for the descents? You bet your buns they do. Huge scouting, recon trips are essential for any big tour rider making a serious bid for an overall classification. Weeks of training camps, tape review, intervals up, test runs down give massive advantages in this day and age. Just think about how timid you would be seeing a descent for the first time versus a descent that you do every day or a couple of times a month. The confidence gain is unimaginable. As I noted before, Alaphilippe's skill set was on full display last year during many stages of the Tour de France when he was wearing the yellow jersey. After being dropped on the infamous Col du Galibier during stage 18 from Ambre to Valois, Alaphilippe put on a clinic. Even in his own words, he said that he took some risks. He was super tucking, late braking, using every square inch of the road to his advantage. He was able to regain contact with the leaders, keep his 90-second buffer, and, in turn, hang on to the maillot jaune. Calculated risk? Perhaps. Sometimes we see good bike handlers come from off-road backgrounds, riders like Alaphilippe, Sagan, Wout van Aert, who all have a cyclocross background. In fact, little known bit, they've all been on the podium at the Cyclocross World Championships during their careers. That's in contrast though to riders like Nibali and Cancellara, who can also zip themselves down the mountains quite well too, but haven't ever entered any big off-road events during their careers. Which is all to say, there isn't one thing that makes a rider good at descending, but there are some common styles and techniques riders use when racing down the mountain. Things that we see from our modern day hero in Alaphilippe, we also see in other riders. Raw talent. I say this one because it's hard to train natural instinct, the ability to judge a certain turn based completely off intuition, having that agility to lean the bike over quickly and effectively, never too sharp, never too aggressive, not to mention the psychological power of having the confidence on the bike to know where the braking point is and is not. How much brake can one use before the tire breaks free, and how far out a rider should be getting on or off the brakes. It's a skill that's innate, but for the best of the best is refined over a career of racing day in and day out. This is also where individuality comes in as well. Each rider naturally has a different position and therefore center of gravity. Each bike has different geometry, and certain manufacturers are going to have higher or lower bottom brackets, longer or shorter head tubes, steeper angles in the geometry. They're also going to use different materials to build the bikes that are going to have completely different handling characteristics from one manufacturer to the next. Add on the components like bars, stems, saddles. All of these are going to factor into how riders position themselves on the bike. So for instance, the same rider using a different frame set will need to learn how that bike needs to be weighted up to go and through the corner just right, just like a race car driver would if they were needing to learn how to drive a new car. When we talk about equipment, a major one for descending has to be disc brakes. Running disc brakes over traditional caliper brakes would help you brake later, harder, and faster. A disc frame set also will have a wider rear end on the bike to accommodate the disc calipers, which could arguably allow for better cornering for a myriad of different reasons. Other equipment that makes a difference would be a longer saddle. That'll allow a rider to shift their body weight front to back very quickly. Tire size and rubber technology can also be a factor. For instance, if a rider was running a 23C tire with 100 pounds of pressure versus a rider that had a little bit more experience and requested a 26C tire with 85 pounds of pressure, naturally they're gonna have more traction. Now, this especially comes into play during inclement weather. You throw in the tire wheel combos, the tire pressure on a chosen day, and the best riders know their equipment intimately. And when you're pushing the limits, knowing that a certain tire wheel combo and pressure works for you will ensure confidence mentally as well. Let's not forget that today's riders also benefit from team race radios, where riders are being constantly reminded by their team directors of the biggest descents, hairpin turns, and danger spots. Let's talk about the risk. To be descending with nothing but Lycra on at 100 kilometers per hour is scary. Actually, riders have been clocked well over 130K an hour recently. Rider safety and technology in just about every way has evolved, thankfully, and many courses have safety features in place for when accidents do occur. But naturally, road racing is super dangerous. One team in the pro peloton takes it very seriously, Team Sunweb, and they actually have a fabric woven into their Lycra called Dyneema, and supposedly it's 15 times stronger than steel. And the material is used to prevent road rash from when the riders do go down. They're able to slide a little bit better in the event of a fall to get less road rash on their bodies. But the truth is that no material is gonna save you from going off the side of a cliff or a mountainside, which is why true fans of the sport of cycling absolutely love seeing the art of descending when they do. So the skills that are essential for any good descender, but the ones that Alaphilippe showcases so well in his ability to quickly and effectively shift his body weight all over the bike, leaning it from left to right, never turning the bars to lose traction on that front wheel, just using his body weight to lean and weave, grabbing a little bit of brake to scrub speed, and then knowing when to accelerate, and then when to recover and take a deep breath. How to get his knee out and get more aggressive when the turn's been over or under calculated, getting his weight over the rear of the bike when he's braking too hard, getting his head tucked down into that low aero position, super tucking when the road is wide open and less technical, and then punching it on the pedals to get back up to speed from any turn that's brought his speed down. He owns the road doesn't own him. A good descender understands the rules of the game and the consequences that can follow, using the entire road as its boundaries of fair play. Just like when a soccer ball gets kicked out of bounds, but in cycling, that can be a season ender. One miscalculation can be a big injury that takes a rider an entire year to recover from. But the best of the best make it look easy. Riders like Julian Alaphilippe keep us glued to our chairs as we watch the perfection of this craft, hitting the apex of the turn just right, letting off the brakes. It's like poetry in motion with the road. When you've witnessed it perfectly executed, it's pretty incredible. This is one of the reasons that we love road racing and road cycling. So don't forget, if you watch tons of racing and you love fast descending and stuff like this, please get involved with us over on the GCN Race Pass. Some territory restrictions do apply, so make sure that you click on the link in the description to see which races are being shown in your country. Leave us a comment down below to let us know who your favorite descender is. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next time.